Happy days. Welcome everyone everywhere to the Elite Thinking Club. I'm Chris George Julian and I'm joined tonight by my co-hosts Liz and Michael and our special guest, Darran Griffiths. Mate, I love your weed. I'm serious on this one. Yo. Oh my God, I'm buzzing. Darran, I just want to say a huge congratulations, right, for a lot of things. And we're going to be covering that tonight. Liz, Michael, how you guys doing?
Always good, mate. You?
Happy days, yeah. I'm not too bad. I'm excited. Obviously, you can tell every time we get a guest, you know what I'm like. I'm just, man. And Darran, how are you doing? Like, come on.
I'm good, man. Happy to be on it. I listened to one of your episodes before.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to listen to too many episodes because I didn't want to, be too over familiar with everyone. That's when it's new and fresh and stuff. So.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I like the pod. I do like it a lot. So I will be listening going forward, man.
That means a lot to us as well. Because honestly, we're still, let's be fair. We're still relatively new compared to your podcast. Guys, Darran's got a podcast called Darran's Brain Dump, and it is hilarious. Come on, let's get it right. You talk about, well, a lot of things, but football, politics. You're really orientated around football, isn't it? Like, I see you talk a lot about football.
It's just because of what I like. That's the way. If something else going on in the week, then I'll talk about that. But yeah, football. It's usually because when I'm recording, football's on.
Yeah.
So I'm almost reacting to it while recording the pod. So that's why.
Like commentary.
Yeah.
But funnier.
You know what? I haven't even done our what we're about at the Elite Thinking Club. Sorry, Darran, we're stopping mid-flow, but I got to do this. Guys, welcome to the Elite Thinking Club, a podcast dedicated to critical thinking. Critical thinking is the analysis of facts to form judgment. The subject is complex, which includes the rational, skeptical, and unbiased analysis or evaluation of factual evidence. Critical thinking is self-directed, self-disciplined, and self-monitored and self-corrective thinking. It presupposes assent to rigorous standards of excellence and mindful command of its use. It entails effective communication, problem solving abilities, as well as a commitment to overcome native egocentrism and sociocentrism. Basically, you cannot change anything unless you're willing to understand it, and you cannot understand it unless you're willing to explore it. A good debate doesn't get ugly. We may talk about things that make people feel vulnerable. Beliefs held sacred may be challenged because of life experiences, but we're not trying to make people wrong or to incite riot, but simply explore. So welcome to the Elite Thinking Club. And if you've done so already, guys, hit the like, hit the subscribe button and follow us for more and future episodes, and watch some of our old episodes as well. We probably talk about things that you absolutely love. But tonight, I really want to welcome our special guest, Darran Griffiths. Man, you stand-up comedian, man. Been doing it, coming up to like over 5 years. Yeah. And tonight, I really want to talk about you. You're the star of the show. And yeah, if it's okay, we're just going to ask you some questions, and just like, if you could tell us open and honestly about how it all feels to be where you're at now. Because I just want to, for the studio audience, it's right in saying that you've just been signed to like one of the biggest comedy agencies in the UK. Is that fair to say? That's true.
That is more than fair to say. Yeah.
Hey, come on. That's like the Premier League of comedy now, right? You're in the league now. It's like, this guy's not, Division 3. This guy's there now. How's it feel?
It's good. Do you know what? It's because it's so new. The effects of it hasn't come into play yet, but it's good. It feels good. Chris, Jules, it's hard to talk to just this blank wall. I can ask you a question.
I'm sorry. I had to make sure I did something because it was like. There we go. That's much better. Thank you.
All serious. It's good. Like I said, it's new, so I haven't had a chance for it to come into play yet. But it's nice. It feels it's validated. That's what it is, really.
Yes, because you know what we're like, right? As if I hear something funny, I absolutely roar. I express myself fully, and this is another a conversation I wanted to ask. Something I wanted to ask you is like later on. I'm going to ask you about it, but when you say a joke, my friend Maurice Cook, he used to be a funny guy, and he used to be a magician as well. And he used to say, I like performing in front of you, Jules, because the reaction you give me, it makes me feel like, it's the validation. It's what I need to keep on going. And, one of my favorite jokes of yours, Darran, it lives in my head rent free. Yeah. Rent free. And it's, my favorite one. I said it to you on the phone the other day. It's like, when you go to the pub, you like a pub, right? Darran, I'm going to try and be you. I like a pub. I like going to the pub. And you're in those like a good old fashioned rural pub. But you know that it's one of those pubs where it's like so in the sticks and it's got England flags up and it's not even World Cup. So you know what I'm talking about. And you go in there and and the music stops and everyone sees you, and even the guy in the corner with his dog on the floor, even the dog looks up like, huh? And then you walk into the bar and then you're like, the person at the bar, hi, we don't get many of your kind here. What would you like to drink? And you're like, I'm in a pub, just, I'll have a drink. Yeah, I'll have a drink. And he goes, can I help you with anything else? Yeah, give me the money. I die.
Well, no, that's I've never had anyone do a whole bit of mine to me.
I won't even lie to you, Darren. When you said that joke, I was dying. I was roaring. I was cracking up, because what a comedian does is addresses elephants in the room, but makes us laugh about it. And I love that. That's why I wanted you on the show. I know I talk so much, I get gassed, but I'm serious. Like, some of the things you talk about in your stand-up and in your podcast, you address stuff. And I have to laugh about it, because what we ain't gonna get here and sad about it. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to think too sad about it, but it's a reality. You don't know what it's like for a black person in Britain sometimes to go to one of those pubs when everybody, it's not like obvious like that. The dog isn't like, it's dead serious, but it is like they think you're in there like it's weird. And I'm like, listen, I'm not gonna rob the place. Fuck, I just come here to get a drink.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
I got confused. I thought it was because he's from Essex.
Oh, yeah. Well said, Michael. Well said. But yeah, Darren, you do talk about being from. This is actually well said, Michael, because you do actually talk about being from Essex, but being black from Essex, and how how your life experience kind of shaped you to be who you are.
Yeah.
You wanna elaborate a bit on that, because I love that.
Yeah, sure. I think like being black and being from Essex, I think it helped with comedy in the sense of always being almost being like on the outside all the time. So, for example, within my house, I was, it's a kind of Jamaican household, so I'm the one that's not Jamaican. Then out in my school life in Essex, everyone else is kind of white and English, and I'm the one who's black, who's not white and English. And when I go see my family who are in London, yeah, it's all black there, but then I'm the one who's from Essex. So it's always this position of, right, I'm kind of the odd one out and sitting on the sidelines and kind of watching, how comes this is going on? How comes that's going on? And and I think obviously being in those situations as well, you just learn not to take things too seriously. My household is very, people will take the mickey out of you. And if you cry, you lose. So you have to just build up this resilience. And then I found quite quickly that if I could, one, act like I didn't care, or two, even better, roll with the joke.
Yeah.
People just stop going at you. So that kind of just becomes part of your personality. That someone tries to take the mick out of you, rather than get you back up, you almost take what they say to the extreme.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, I didn't mean it that deep. Like, okay. And then they just want to not talk to you anymore about it. So yeah.
Yeah, very true.
When we speak about demographic for real, like, comedians always attract your vibe attracts your tribe, so to speak. And what I like is how you represent a lot of people. Like, me personally, like, it wasn't confusing for me, but I didn't know it too deep back then. But you when you start to do the numbers in your head, you start to realize, wow, like, okay, yes, I'm originally from Mauritius, but I don't speak Creole, and I don't carry the same attitude because I'm born in England. So I've developed this different attitude. So when you're at home or with your grandparents, and so to speak, and then you do go out with your friends who are British, and they're like, yeah, come down the pub. I don't really do the pub, but I can see why, you would do the pub. It's where all your friends go. And then obviously it's a bit, where'd you go with it? Because you can't explain to them the joke. Give me all the money. You know what I mean? Because they wouldn't get it, but they would feel like the guy at the bar, because they'd be like, oh, how do I talk to you? Or, they're awkward with it. And I just love how you turn it into comedy, man. I really do. It's appreciated, because I need a good laugh in life now these days. Yeah. And I'm so glad.
I think it's about being open with your experiences, and that's how we learn from each other, right? Like, if it's this kind of secret coded language that only you talk about in a certain group, then how do you really expect anyone to learn? Like, I think sometimes in society we're too harsh on, I don't really use the word, but like the quote unquote, like oppressor, the privileged person in whatever position it is. So let's take race, for example.
Yeah.
Black people talk about their issues. We only talk about it amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
And then when a white person puts their foot in it, it's like, why don't you get it? It's like, well, we've never actually expressed it to them or explained it to them. So, and the same with like sexism as well, like to flip it around, then I'm in the privileged position. You know, if women don't explain themselves, and as men, if we don't actually sit down and listen, then it's like we're never really gonna bridge these gaps we have between us in society.
Yeah, man. Well said. Well said. And I love how you use your talent to try and do that. Sorry, Liz, go ahead. Go on.
I was just going to say, I think as well, the audience probably appreciate when you do those scenarios like from your own experiences and bring it into your comedy, because you're addressing the elephant in the room for everybody in the room, because whichever side they're on, you know, they're probably, you know, they're able to laugh at the scenario that you're bringing into the comedy, whereas normally it may make them actually feel quite uncomfortable, or they might think, oh, can't say that, I wouldn't be able to tell that joke. But the fact that you are, they're able to see the funny side of it and enjoy it, I suppose, you know. So yeah, I think it's good that you do that.
No, cheers. No, I think that's true. I think yeah, there's certain, just, you know, the way the world works, there's certain jokes that certain people can or can't say, or it doesn't fit their personality. But if you do talk about just different situations, people have been in these different situations, like you said, whichever character they are, whether they are the person behind the bar, the person asked for the drink, or the person in the corner watching it happen. You know, and if you make it funny enough, even if you've never been in the situation, you could just go, oh, yeah, that actually sounds like a funny situation anyway. So yeah,
I think that comedians as well, the whole point in things being so funny is because they do address the elephants in the room, and because sometimes they do say what we're all probably thinking, you know, about a scenario as they're building up and they're telling us a story. We're sitting there thinking, oh, I know what the outcome is. But the funny thing is when they twist it and then they say something quite harsh, or, you know, you're like, no, they actually went there. And you're just like, you know, and I think that that's the whole part and the whole point of comedy, is that they are supposed to push the boundaries. They are supposed to be a little bit like, yeah, I said it, and what? You've paid to come and see me. You know,
that's it.
Yeah,
that's the attitude I like to have on stage. Is that kind of, yeah, I've said it, what are we going to do now? Like, you can be upset or you can laugh. And I think
guys, if you haven't seen Darran, like, or been to any of his stand-ups, he has got a link on YouTube. You can watch the whole Essex Bwoy stand-up, and it's brilliant. This is what I'm talking about. That joke's in it, the one in the pub, but there's so many others. Like, talk about, you know, oh god, what was the other one that really got, you know, like, addressing racism in the UK, and you talk about even the country itself. It's so flipping cold. Sometimes I hear the wind in my ear. Go back to your own country.
I hear that all the time. I want to go back to California. Oh my God.
And I'm like, this is brilliant, mate. You're so clever with it, and it's just genius. If you haven't done so, you got to click that link. You got to see Darran on YouTube, and you got to hit the like and subscribe button on his channel, because this guy is going far now. Talking about that. Sorry, go on, Liz. Go on.
Go and see him. I think we should all go and see him.
Yes.
When he does his stand-up, I think that'll be a really good
Liz, now that he's going to be big, we can be there, can't we? We'll be like, yeah, we're here, woo! But where were we when it all began? So let's talk. Do you mind if I address that? Can I talk about like when it all began? Like, because now you know your name's. You've been grafting. Let's get it right. It isn't come like overnight. It doesn't things don't happen like that, do they?
No. It takes 10 years to become an overnight success, is what they say. So I'm halfway.
Wow.
Halfway to becoming an overnight success. So yeah, and how it began. I think you'll like this, John. To be fair, because the weirdness of it. So I did a personal development course, right? And it's a course that my brother recommended me to be on and to do. And ironically, he said that I'm the person who least needs it, but probably the most open to do it. So he brought me along to like the open day for it. I was like, okay, I'll come along. And I sat there, and it was weird. It felt like a cult. I walked into the building, everyone's smiling and happy and seemed really fulfilled with their life.
You can tell I've been to one, yeah.
And I was just like, what is this, man? They was like, hi, how you doing? Welcome. And I was just like, okay, this is all mad. So he sat down and I ended up signing up anyway. And basically, the cynic in me, I signed up basically to prove that this course is crap. So I was like, I'm going to sign up. And we're just
You and Michael are going to get on fire. Used to, it's the sort of thing he'd do. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, and I thought like I could only prove it's rubbish if I do it properly. So I have to do it properly. I can't let them win by me not doing it properly. So I signed up to the course. And I'm on the course now, and a lot of time they have people talking at the front who are attending. Anyway, so the person running the course goes, "All right, put your hand up if you are reasonable and stuff. If you think you're reasonable," because he was talking about to get what you want in life, what you truly want in life, you have to be unreasonable. You have to have stupidly big dreams and stupidly big goals, and because if you think small then you'll achieve small and stuff. So you have to kind of just think what do you really want. Don't let anything limit you. Be unreasonable and stuff. So he said, am I in this room reasonable? So I put my hand up there. I'm reasonable. So, oh, why do you think you're reasonable? I said my nickname at uni was the voice of reason. So he's like, all right, come to the front and talk. So he's asked me about my life, and he's saying, okay, so what do you do as a job? And I was like, oh, I'm an accountant. And that just made like the room laugh. There's like, yeah, that's literally the most reasonable job you can have. And then he goes, okay, so if you could do anything in the world, anything, like what would it be? And he goes, and don't try to give me an answer that will make you look good. That's being reasonable. Just say the first thing that comes from your gut. So I was like, comedy. He's like, okay, why would you want to do comedy? And I was like, well, because I remember I was at sixth form, and I remember I presented this show, and I really enjoyed being on stage, making people laugh. And they go, all right, you've got a 15-minute break. In that 15 minutes, you have to take an action to get for us to step into comedy. And I was like, oh, well, I don't know what to do. And then he goes, no, that isn't what this course is about. This course is about taking action. So do something in the 15 minutes, make a step towards comedy. So I was like, okay, so literally in a 15-minute break, I'm on Google looking for like I'm academic, so I'm like, all right, courses, I've got to find a course. So I found some 8-week course in Brighton, and I was like, I don't need 8 weeks. I don't need 8 weeks. One of the things was like how to hold a microphone. I was like, no, I don't need that. That's too basic.
There's a course on that.
Yeah, it's like that was one of the like the modules.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Actually, I never thought about that. Okay, yeah, cool. Yeah. It must be a skill with it. Yeah, it's a comedian course.
To be fair, since doing comedy, I've realised actually some people might need that. Like you can't they holding a microphone like down here and like,
yeah, or laugh at your own jokes. That might be a module because I do that. I think I'm hilarious. I'll be like, yeah, that was funny. I don't give a shit about what you thought. That was funny as fuck. That was funny. Laugh, and I'll be like grabbing people. But no.
But then I found a 2-day course, and then I just signed up to it. Just went, right, fine. Just, I won't think about it too much. Just pay the money, signed up. Now I'm committed to it. And I came back and they said, oh, have you made a step towards comedy? I was like, yeah, I've like signed up to this course in like 3 weeks time and stuff. And then, so then did the course. It was a 2-day course. Started, I enjoyed the course, had to do like a showcase at the end. And then even on that course, they're like, all right, now you've done the course, don't say to people you're trying to be a comedian or say you are a comedian. Because if you say you are a comedian, the world will treat you as a comedian. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, okay, cool. So now I head to the barber's and I sit down. This is the first time I go to his barber's. And he goes, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Like, what do you do? And I was about to say like my day job. And I went, I'm a comedian. He's like, oh, wicked. Like, have you been on TV? I was like, no. He's like, have I seen you perform? I was like, no. He's like, oh, where can I see you next? I didn't have any gigs booked. So I was like, yeah, I'm working on stuff. And then someone in the barber's, or finished my haircut, asked me, oh, I overheard you're a comedian. I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, you should hear out my friend. He runs a comedy night. And I was like, okay, cool. What's his name? And he said the guy's real name. He goes, I don't know what his stage name is. And then he was like fumbling around for the name. And I'm not sure if any of you guys know this guy. His name's Kane Brown. And he's like massive on like the urban black comedy circuit. And he goes, yeah, so just message him. So because I'm still in my course mind, but instinctively I can't message this guy. I don't know him. like I can't message him. But then because I've got the course running around in my head, I was like, well, what's the worst that will happen? He'll just ignore my message, or he'll tell me why you messaging me. So I messaged him, going, no, this guy said I should message you for some stage time. He goes, yeah, sure. And when you've got 5 minutes, come down, and we'll get you on stage. And I was like, I've got 5 minutes. I didn't have 5 minutes. And then he goes, right, come. And I said, got 5 minutes. Right, come down this weekend. And that weekend was like bank holiday weekend at Hideaway Comedy Club in Streatham, South London. So that's like 250 people. Yeah. And that was my first gig. And on that bill was a lady called Miss Moreal, who's doing it right now. Travis J, Wilty Robo, who's done like Def Jam comedy stuff, and then Kojo, who's obviously Kojo guy who got Britain's Got Talent, final, been doing comedy for 20 years. And that was my first ever gig. And the magic was, it said Travis J, who's the person who was on that first gig, is the guy who I opened for in November, and that's where Avalon saw me to sign me.
Wow,
that is awesome.
That is incredible, because yes, you mentioned. Yeah, you mentioned it on that. You got over like 260 episodes on your podcast, right? Like you got a lot of episodes, right? And I listened to the one where you actually said, I got a phone call from Trav, but I didn't know who he was. I just thought it's a friend of yours in the comedy place, but he's actually the one the original person who got that next step for you on the stage in front of 200. That's a big. You're in the deep end early on, like first.
That shows the power of that course as well, and the power of your mind, or your mindset of being, I'm a comedian, and that being overheard in the barbers. Like that's,
bad, right?
Mindset, manifestation. That is all the power of being, isn't it? So
it is. Man, I love that. I actually believe that. I tell people all the time how good looking I am, and it's.
I'm gonna start telling people I'm a millionaire. I'm a millionaire.
I'm going to start introducing myself as Mrs. Hardy, Tom Hardy's wife.
But honestly, that is one of those stories that I know is going to also be asked later on down the line. You're always you're gonna say that, and it's always gonna be. Will you write a book, Darren? Eventually. Yeah.
I mean, as a comedian, I already think what I have to say is important enough to say it in front of strangers every week. So I think I'll definitely write a book.
Definitely. And I can see it now. Like if you can see it, then it exists. That's what they say, isn't it? If you can actually see it, it exists. And maybe in that course, whilst going through it, like in your subconscious, you just saw everything that was unfolding. Like, but when they say don't be unreasonable, I mean, no, be unreasonable, think so big. Sometimes it does take that long because it's such a big manifestation. It's not just as simple as saying, oh, I fancy a Costa coffee, think about it, and then you can literally go to the shop and get it. It's a quick from thought to action, right? But what you're manifesting is massive, and I truly believe you're on your path. Like you've reached the next stage. And before in the barbershop, when someone would ask what do you do, or who are you, or whatever, you can say I'm a comedian, and they were like, oh, what shows have you done? That was the first time you had to say that, and you didn't have nothing backing you. Whereas now it's like, I've done this many shows, I've opened up for this many people, I've done my own shows, I've been on BBC, I've been on, I'm on YouTube, you can check me out, and all the links, guys, for Darren's stuff, check it in the description, and definitely check it out, because you got to look out for Darren. Congratulations, Darren. That's all I got to say. On a serious note, that's what I want you on here, man.
Was there at any point, did you think along the journey, what the hell am I doing? Like, or did you just feel like you were on like this massive adventure and it was just rolling from one to another? Like,
I think it's definitely the latter. Like, it's definitely been like an adventure. Because every other part of my life has been so structured and so sensible, so reasonable. The comedy is the first thing I think I've ever done where it's just like I do this out of the enjoyment of what I'm doing. There wasn't actually an aim at the end. You go to schools, get good grades, and you go to college, and you go to uni, and you do a job, you try to get promoted, and it's always just like, I'm just trying to get to the next thing. Whereas comedy is the first one where it's like, I'm just going to go on stage for this 10 minutes, this 15 minutes, try to make this room of strangers laugh, and then we'll see what happens after.
That's great,
and
because
that-
you enjoy it. You
Yeah, I love
enjoy
that.
it, so that makes it that it just, it's like your thing. It's like, you know, your escapism, like from
Yeah.
normal structured life. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. I love that.
100%.
And if you enjoy it and then you get paid for it, it's just a bonus, isn't it? And now you're
Yeah, I used to hate those people who say you love their job. I still kind of hate those people. I still, you know.
but you love yours, so you're one of them now.
Yeah, I just don't tell people about it. I just,
It's fun. It's so crazy, right? I mean this. I say this, like, when you're on stage, do you feel like you have a different person? Like are you relaxed? Are you your true self? Or actually, this is two questions in one. Have you ever been on stage where you've not received the applause? You know, and you're funny. You know what I mean? You should know because you are funny. I roar some of your jokes. You know what I mean? I'll get up and walk around. It's so funny. I'm dying. It's so funny. But you know, for some people, I don't think they get it sometimes. Like they can't. Have you ever had an audience like that yet? Or have you ever been?
Yeah, 100%. Like, look, no one's universally funny. You know, it's art, isn't it? It's weird to call comedy art, but it's art, and art's subjective. So there's some jokes that people really just won't get. There's some jokes that people will get and just go, don't find that funny. That's not my type of thing.
Yeah.
So I can't make everyone laugh.
You can't cater for everybody in the room, can you?
No, if you try to cater for everyone, you'll cater for no one, right? So
exactly.
It's one of those where when you're new, you obviously want to make every room laugh, and then as you become more confident in your material and stuff, you realize, okay, you can almost pinpoint what went wrong, whether it is the room, whether it's it's just not my crowd, or actually I didn't perform that well. I came on stage, I was pretty arrogant. I was a bit lethargic with how I told my jokes. I thought that I'm the guy.
But that comes with experience, doesn't it? Because there are, like anything, full cycle. There's always the yin and the yang. There's always the ups and the downs. And you probably ask any professional, you know, people don't see the whole iceberg. They only see the top of it. And underneath the water is a much bigger amount of effort to just keep that top afloat. So yeah, I can totally appreciate what you just said there. Yeah, it must be tough. It must be hard. Picking up that mic and getting in front of complete strangers. And you've got like, what, the first 6 seconds to win them? Is that fair in saying it? Yeah,
I mean, that's the thing, right? They say you got to get a big laugh on the first joke and stuff. You have like a strong open, and yeah, and even now there's times where I get on stage and I'll struggle to get the mic out of the stand, and maybe I should have done that longer course. I don't know, but sometimes like the MC is like wrap the cord around the mic, so now I'm on stage just looking like an absolute novice because I'm just there like.
See, I would find that funny though. I would think that's part of your act.
I'd be like,
oh my god, it's funny. Look at him. I would find that funny.
There's a big, and it's weird, and it's how you occur to people, right? So it's one of the strange things in comedy. So because as a black man on stage, that's all I am on stage for. I open my mouth. That's what people can see. They don't know where I'm from, they don't know what I'm going to talk about. But we've got it in our heads as a society that black men are very confident, very self-assured. So me coming on stage, fumbling with a microphone, it doesn't make actually people relax. It actually makes people feel a bit on edge because they're like, hold on, this isn't what we expect a black guy to be. What's going on?
Yeah, it's almost in your blood to hold a microphone. What are you doing?
Yeah, whereas like there's other comedians who the whole persona is this kind of quirky, awkward. So if they start fumbling with the microphone, the crowd just start laughing straight away because like that's what I think this guy should be doing. Whereas me,
like Lee Evans.
Yeah. Exactly. If he comes on sweating, just like starts messing with the microphone. You're like, this is what I expect.
You talk about Lee Evans. Someone that loves Lee Evans.
Oh my gosh.
Guys, Michael, you got a tattoo of Lee Evans, isn't it? You got I love that. And just so you guys know, Michael is a big fan of tattoos. And if we make it to 500 subscribers on the YouTube, he's actually going to get the Elite Thinking Club tattoo on his body. So where, Michael? On your arm? You say you're going to get it on your arm? Yeah, and we'll be recording that. Yeah, we'll be doing that. And if we get to 1,000 subscribers, we're doing a live episode at Canooden Church. And if we get to 1,001 subscribers, Liz is going to get in a bikini. So let's go, guys.
Really?
You said it. Live on air.
Yeah, only if we're in Jamaica or Bali. So yeah,
Oh, fair
get
enough.
me
Fair
over
enough.
there and I'll do it.
God.
Darren, do you ever get nervous before like you go on, or when you first started, did you get nervous, or because you found it like buzzy and you enjoyed it, did you just think, I don't care, I've got nothing to lose?
No, this answer is gonna. Are you allowed to swear at this part or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
This answer's gonna sound so wanky. It's gonna sound so wanky.
Go on.
But all right, I'm gonna have to say how it is. So no, I don't get nervous because here's the thing. I try to separate emotion and feelings. Right. So feelings are what your body is physically doing, and emotions is kind of a mix between like your thoughts and experience and what you attach to that feeling. So before I go on stage, I get a bit sweaty, my stomach starts turning a bit, get butterflies, whatever, heart rate goes up. That sounds like nervousness, but that's also the physical reaction to excitement.
Excitement,
well.
yeah.
So when I go on stage, instead of thinking, oh, I'm nervous about this, I'm going, oh, I'm clearly excited. And it does make a difference because there's been gigs where I feel nothing before I go on stage, like Iceman. And I go on stage and I just die because I haven't brought any energy to the stage.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I'm feeling that kind of, it's just another gig, I have to kind of like slap myself, like, no, Darren,
Yeah.
come on, get up for it and actually perform. And then it'll go better.
I can relate to that. Like sometimes when I've done certain things in my life, my friends and family will say to me, weren't you nervous? Like, weren't you scared? And I'm like, no, that feeling, I flip it into excitement, and I have like an excitement attack, and they're like, you're weird. And I'm like, no, that's just how I process it. I process it as an excitement attack. And then I find the whole experience afterwards, I find it just more, I feel like I've gained more energy from the experience, and I feel like I've actually, I'll remember it more and better, because like it's just the perception of it, totally.
100%.
I love that.
And sometimes in your own mind, how you see yourself isn't how others see you at all. And they can't, like, they'll have their judgment, or they'll have their perception. And then at the end of the day, like you say, like art, it's very, what's the word you said about art? It's subjective, yeah. And honestly though, I get what you're saying, man, but I still feel like what you do is it is an art. It's such a skill to get on that stage in front of complete strangers. I mean, you know, have you ever had eyes watching you and you can feel them? You know when someone's watching, it's like a presence. You know, you're like, I can feel that, right? And multiply that by like 300 people at the same time, directly at you. It's like a force, right? And you've got to build that. You've got to build that resilience. And then obviously, you know the saying, Beyonce weren't built in a day. And then she's on performing in front of thousands, millions. You know what I'm saying? The amount of eyes, that pressure. And I'm not going to say that I get what you do, but I remember once I was doing Ninja Warrior, and when I stood on that platform to do the first run and I felt those eyes, I felt that, and I was like, shit, like I don't normally feel like this. Do you know what I mean? I wear mine with like armor. Anyone come at me with anything, I own it straight away. So I've got like a way of handling my pressures. I'm sure you do. I say mantras and stuff, but I also just wear my faults like armor. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't come at me if I'm already at me. Do you know what I mean? But those pressures, those eyes, it's like you can feel a force. You know how we got like the power of mind or whatever? It's like collective consciousness, and you can feel that. You know, for anyone just starting out, because you obviously were there before, but how do you handle that? Is that real though? Do you feel that when you're sometimes big audience?
Yeah. I think it's hard. I don't know how to advise anyone starting out, because it's such a unique and weird and lonely experience. Like, you do it because you want to make people laugh. And usually what happened, I can only talk about what happened with me. So what happened with me was, my first gig made the whole room laugh. Second gig, so first gig was the showcase. Second gig was the big weekend one. That went okay. It was a nice like medium. I made people laugh. I was like, okay. It wasn't like people thought this is the second coming of the comedy messiah. He's here to rescue comedy. That isn't what happened. And then my third gig, I died horribly, like, and it was the fact that I already had another gig booked. I just had to get on with it and stuff. And I think that's my only advice I can give, is kind of that practical advice of just make sure you have another gig booked after your next one, because there's definitely times where at the beginning when you die and you look at yourself like, what am I doing, man? I don't have to do, like, why am I putting myself through this? So if you've got another gig booked, you just go, right, boy, I have to just shrug that off and just get on to the next gig. And so I think then that gig goes a bit better, then the other one goes a bit better, then you die again and it goes a bit better, and then, you know, the better nights start outweighing the
Yes. A knight in shining armor has never truly had his armor tested. Darren, you look like a guy who's, you know, you're standing strong, fam. I love that, man. That's why you're here, like.
I've always said the Cosby. I've always going to say you look like someone whose armor's battered.
Yeah, but in a good night, I meant that in, you know what I meant. You know what I was speaking of the metaphor. Guys,
you know
check
what,
Darren's out. You check him
my
out.
advice
Sorry.
when people go up on stage and you know, they're worrying or nervous or just, you know, they feel like they're not doing very well, I think if you just look at the audience and imagine that they're all naked, kind of makes you feel a bit
but what do you get hard on?
well, I wouldn't, would I?
You could slip over.
Yeah, sometimes.
No, but
You know, Michael, I love you so much.
I
He's
just
just
remember being told that as when I was a kid and I was in this dance troupe performing on stage, and we did pantomimes at Christmas time and stuff, and I just remember our coach saying, just remember, dears, just imagine they're all naked, don't worry about anything, don't get nervous, don't worry if you miss a step, just pretend that they're all naked and you can see them in all their glory. And I remember thinking, that's slightly strange, we're children, but okay.
Exactly.
But it stuck with me. I know.
his name weren't Andrew, was it?
but it's just it just stuck with me, and it just actually just makes me think, actually, if you kind of just tell yourself silly things like that, it kind of just probably makes you feel a little bit better when you're on there, you know. So
It'd make me stop talking, I think. If I walked out on stage and just imagined everyone naked, I'd just be like...
yeah, don't do that, Darren. It might mess up one of your shows. I don't want to be responsible for that.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to come and see you. Definitely going to come and see you.
Yes, 100%.
I absolutely love comedy.
And you know what? I don't want to be like those them fans though. That's just like, you know, because I've known you, Darren, pretty much since children, and I don't want to be like, oh, why wasn't you there at the start? You know, all them things and that. But it is so hard to explain to people that when they don't see the whole iceberg, they only see the top. And you know, when you're at the top, and everyone's like, oh, I remember, like, we go way back, rare, and it must be a little bit awkward because you are going places and that, but. Yeah, I mean, how does that feel? How does it, like, to be where you are now? You must have had a lot of messages. A lot of people that have, you know, grown with you through your career. They're doing what, I don't know if you call it a circuit. Do you call it a circuit?
Yeah,
it's the comedy circuit. You know, you're getting a lot of messages, and people must be like, "Oh, yeah, what's going on? What's going on?" Do you find yourself any different, or is it just the beginning?
No, it's just the beginning, really. So yeah, I'm not at that stage where I'm now just in a different place to everyone else who's on the circuit. We're all you know, even your TV acts still have to come down and do these gigs down here to work out their new material and stuff. So, and
to keep it flowing, I suppose, as well.
Yeah, exactly. So you come across different levels all the time. So
talking about material, sorry, quickly interject. You talk about material because I watch your YouTube back and I still laugh at the jokes, even though I know them already. And I know there's a lot of people out there who haven't heard them. So, you know, are you gonna get new material, or like, how does it work? How do you know when, like, you keep some jokes? Because I know they're funny, but would you, you know, how do you do that? How do you,
sure.
do you script your act through?
Yeah. So it's hard. So on a night where, say, if I'm being paid or the crowd have paid, then I'm going to do a mix of my older material that I know works and my current material that I know works, and that's really going to be the night. It's just the material that I know is certified. Then there's other nights where it's, you know, it's new material night, So it's like, that's for me to just literally go on stage with a pad and just be like, right, I want to work this out. I want to work this out. I want to work that out. And it's those nights that you keep on doing those ones where it's like, right, I've told this joke once, it kind of worked. Let me change that. Okay, now it works. Okay, I think this works now. Let me try in front of this crowd. It works. Let me try in front of this crowd. The joke's actually about, let's say, for example, it's about Asian people. Right, I need to do this joke. For me, I now need to do this joke in front of a majority Asian crowd to see if they laugh with it.
Yeah.
It's like trial and error sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's like, right, now this joke, I've done it in front of black people, white people, old people, young people, gay, straight. I've done it in front of everyone now. The joke works. That's a banker. I can keep that joke.
Yeah.
That's a solid joke kind of thing. So, yeah.
And we had this conversation.
Sorry.
We had this conversation before. Like, Michael, you said it to me, and we tried to talk it out. Yeah. Like, some comedians can get away with saying certain jokes, can't they? And it's normally the joke is about themselves. And let's talk about race, for example. You get a Chinese guy on stage taking a piss out of Chinese people because he's saying what, you know, a lot of people want to say, but they can't, because they can't actually address Chinese people like that. And then obviously your comedy is based around black comedy, where, you know, you're addressing some of the things that we would say, but other people can't say. But it almost like allows them to laugh about it without feeling embarrassed about it, because it's funny, man. It's funny. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you've got this whole punching up, punching down thing in comedy, right? And I understand it and I play with it, but I don't necessarily agree completely. So I don't think there is such.
Is that me or you?
No, I think that's him.
Oh, okay.
Because I thought it was me at first.
I was like, no dramas.
I thought it was part of his like act.
Yeah, and he's gonna bounce back and say, and that's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah, don't ask me again.
Fair enough. Good. But I feel like we've lost Darran, but it'll reconnect, no doubt. Yeah. But yeah, Michael, Liz, we spoke. Yes.
Yeah, you're back.
Sorry.
And that's all you got to say about that, isn't it, Darran? Fair enough. Like, well said. Well said.
I'm not sure I cut off, but I'll try and go back to it. Yeah, so punching up and punching down. Yeah. So the concept of that is about, I guess, it's about sociology, in the sense of, let's use race. So it's seen that like black is the kind of lowest race socially. So therefore, if you're black, you can talk about any other race when it comes to comedy. Whereas if you're white, you're the kind of top of the power dynamic. Therefore, when you tell jokes about other races, everyone kind of goes, oh, wait, is this guy racist? Is he not? And for me, like all things, it's about intent and the quality of the joke kind of thing. And put it like this, it's even a racist joke could be funny, right? Yeah. They're not, one doesn't stop the other. I wouldn't necessarily advise people to tell those jokes because the simple fact is this: a racist joke that's funny will get a laugh from people, but a racist joke that's not funny, you've just said something racist.
yeah, for real.
So, but what we've come to as a society is, as soon as race is mentioned, people think something racist is happening. And
right.
No, not necessarily. And I've seen good jokes, good comedy nights just be ruined by someone in a crowd.
Yeah.
Hearing a certain words, or seeing, like, say, a white guy, a straight white male, tell a joke about a certain topic, and it's like they haven't listened to anything the guy said. Like, the guy's literally would have spent 15 minutes talking about his gay brother and his sister, his brother-in-law who's black, and his mum who's disabled, and he's covered all these things, and he's spoken about these people with real sincerity, and then he just tells a joke that seems like it's punching in the wrong direction, and then everyone goes, oh no, this guy's a bigot. And it's like, no, not really. Like, it's like,
I hear you. We talk about a lot of things at Elite Thinking Club. We've talked about gender inequality, stuff like that. We talk about like the Black Lives Matter, and we address, like, we try and critical think. So we just try and analyze like all angles. That's why, like, we're so like the three of us, Liz, all about freedom, you know, and anti-tyranny and that. I'm a bit of like, well, I'm just like a conspiracy. Like, I love everything, innit? I believe in flat Earth, and I don't care who don't like it. I know it. I flipping know it, and I'm not crazy. And you know, Michael, you love, what's his name? David Cox or something? What's his name?
Brian.
Who's that? Yeah,
David
like the
Icke.
science. Give it the science. Give it the facts. Michael don't even believe in ghosts. You believe that? Not saying that I don't believe that. He's my boy, but
I'm not sure if I believe. My thing about ghosts is how comes we never see ghosts in places like supermarkets? Like ghosts are always seen in like really weird houses and in dark.
Yeah, no, he's got a good point.
Yeah.
He's got a good point. Maybe they find supermarkets boring. Maybe they're like, right, yeah, I can do what I want and go where I want. I want to go to the creepiest places. I don't know.
Yeah, see, it's only when people are creeped out they see ghosts. They never see ghosts just like in.
I'm going to be creeping people out
in
on the
normal
beach when I'm a
places.
ghost.
Normal places, normal people. That's it.
Yeah, they see ghosts.
okay. Now,
Darran, can I ask who? I really want to ask this. Sorry, I'm itching to ask. Who is your favorite comedian, or who, like, has it changed since you've become a comedian yourself?
Yeah, so I'd say, well, my favorite comedian hasn't changed. So favorite comedians are still Dave Chappelle and
Yes,
Bill Burr.
that's one of my
Oh,
favorites.
yes.
And Bill Burr as well. Those two are my favorites. And then
I love Richard Pryor and
Just speak-
Ricky Gervais as well.
I do like Ricky Gervais, but it's weird, like with the older guys like Pryor and Murphy and stuff, like I know those are like the right answers to say, like as a comedian, but then I was like, I didn't watch those guys. I still don't watch them. But then what's changed since doing comedy is the comedians who I probably didn't like before. So Michael McIntyre, I never used to like him. I used to find him cheesy and whatever. I just didn't like him. Now I've started doing comedy. I'm like, no, this guy's a G, because what I do, I address, like, say, the elephant in the room. I take a controversial topic and make light of it. Michael McIntyre takes the everyday, mundane thing and finds the funny in that. So your nan could enjoy it, your kids could enjoy it, anyone could enjoy it. Because and once I started trying to write jokes, it's like, nah, the fact that this guy wrote a joke about when you're on the phone and you have to take a number down and you lie because they go, oh, are you ready to take the number? You go, yeah, sure. And then as you're there on the phone, you're there now running around.
We've all experienced it, haven't we?
Yeah,
We've
it's
all
relatable.
It.
Yeah,
we find it funny because of that.
Right, and so when you sorry, go on, Mike.
No, it was only I was going to add to Michael McIntyre, because I kind of find him as like a chubby Lee Evans.
Yeah, no, but Lee Evans is the guy before Michael McIntyre, in the sense of just that every guy who just tells jokes about hitting your foot on the table, shouting at the table, and the table's like, I've always been here, like that joke, like it's funny because, well, it's true, and it's the thing of just like anyone can get it. Everyone's hit their toe on the table and wanted to beat up an inanimate object. It's like, so. But
then you said that, Darran, you say some joke, like one of your jokes just came to me now. Like I'm thinking the same lines here when you said that nothing tells you that you're from your country, but you're not from your country till you try and go back to your country. So you say a joke about being Jamaican, but you're not Jamaican, and you speak for a lot of people, and I can when it's relatable, it's like that's it, isn't it? Like you.
Yeah, I guess that's like your typical kind of immigrant story, like children of immigrant story. So that's not even like a race thing. It's simply if your family's Irish. So that I've got mates who they say I'm Irish. Then they go to Ireland and they come back and they're like, yeah, I ain't Irish. Like you find out who you are, and it's that thing of, like I said, trying to find your tribe.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And so. But again, that's relatable to, I guess, everyone whose parents are immigrants. But what if you're from a town, like say you're from Northampton, and your parents from Northampton, your grandparents from Northampton? It's like, I've got to be able to deliver the joke in a way that person laughs anyway. It's not if they just go, I don't get that at all. That means nothing to me. The
comedians that I love, that I've been to see, the comedians are really like straight talking, and they're quite direct, kind of can be a bit harsh, but very direct. And what I love is that they will say the punchline or say the joke or end the scenario that they're talking about, and then if there's a few people in the audience that are like, oh, you know, because it was a little bit, you know, crossing the boundaries, like they'll be like, don't care, I've said it, I'm saying it, don't care. And I love like when Ricky Gervais does that, when he'll just come out and spout and he's like, yeah, don't care, not coming back again. So anyway, you know, and he's just like, when he did his Oscars at the Oscars, when he opened up the Oscars, I was just like, this is why I love you. It was just extraordinary. He just was like, don't care. Yeah, you're all mates with him. And it was just like, oh, he said it. And it was just brilliant. And to me, very historic. But so yeah, I quite like, some of my friends will say to me, I don't really like some of the comedians you like, you know, I just don't find them funny. I find them sort of, they talk about serious stuff. And I'm like, well, it's kind of like the truth, you know? And I think that because they're so confident about speaking the truth and direct with it, and they'll tell you on stage, I don't care. Whether you don't like what I've just said. I think I find that funny. It's almost like I get a bit of a nervous laugh because I'm like, oh my gosh, he doesn't care. Like, you know.
I think what it is with comedy now, and I think is probably bred through social media, is that a lot of comedy is funny because it's got truth to it. But what people are trying to achieve is agreement and consensus. It's like, you don't have to agree with what I said. You know, but what I said is true. And in comedy, it's like, you don't have to agree with what I said, but if it was funny, you're allowed to laugh. Like, there's jokes where what the person spoke about, I don't agree with, but I found it funny. Like, Bill Burr's got a joke about when Rihanna and Chris Brown when they had their incident, and he said, like, oh, what do you think was happening before he hit her? Do you think they were just like, do you think that arse kicking came out of nowhere? he said, do you think they were just driving past an ice cream shop and she was like, oh, I want to stop at Baskin Robbins, and then he just starts hitting her.
I'm sorry. Yeah, fuck yeah. Would you say?
So the joke is like, it sounds horrible, but it's like it starts pulling out this thing of, right, what was actually happening before that? And he starts exploring, going, why is it in the media that when these things do happen, we just don't explore, we don't ask any questions and stuff. And I've done it in Justice. It's a big bit and it has like a lot of context to it. But what will happen now is someone will pull a bit out of it and goes, oh, so Bill Burr thinks it's okay to hit women. It's like, no, he literally says in that whole bit, no, it's not. But it's that kind of, you don't have to agree with it, but what he said is kind of true. It's like, when it does happen in the media, it isn't.
Yes.
It isn't explored.
Yeah.
And it's disingenuous as well when the media does that, because then when you do actually look at, say, police reports and police conviction rates, it's the other way around. We don't ask the women are victims of these crimes and they don't get justice at all. So for us to act all high and mighty as a comedy crowd, be like, oh, that's wrong. But then when it's actually happening in society, we kind of go, oh, what are you talking about?
Like,
what are you doing? So, yeah.
And I think
go on, Liz, go on.
Sorry. Back in the day, before social media and, before all of that, the comedians didn't get so much or as much scrutiny. And there was, I think, quite a few things that would get said. And because they were a bit risque, they were even funnier. Like you get like the Benny Hill generation and that sort of, and they didn't have social media to contend with. And now I see sometimes they're bringing up things that were said back then by certain comedians, and they're like, oh, Billy Connolly shouldn't have said this and so shouldn't have said that. And I'm like, but it was funny.
I was going to say that.
In that genre, like.
Oh, Liz, you read my mind. I swear to God, you're like my twin. I was literally on the same vibe as that. I was like, in that era, in that time, that was accepted and funny. Like, looking back at old stuff now, like, I know you guys mentioned before, like, who are your comedy heroes? Dave Chappelle, for me, is in my top hero of comedy. And his new stuff now is very clever and he's very, very great. I'm going to give him that. He's awesome, actually. It's just back when I was watching his Chappelle show, sometimes I watch a bit of that now and I'm like, Dave, like, that's a bit racist, bro. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I'll back you. Don't get me wrong. Back then, but like, think about it. Like, you can't do that now. Put it that way. You can't. You just can't. I can't back you, bro. If you come out with that again, you know what I mean, that sort of shit. But yeah,
there's people who watch. Did you see that? It's recently. There's people who weren't alive when, or weren't old enough when Friends first came out. Now have watched Friends and gone, Friends is problematic. Now everyone in this chat is old enough to watch Friends. If I said try to think of a problematic joke in Friends, you won't be able to think of one because it's the context of what you grew up in, right?
Yeah.
But now if I ask my nieces and nephews to watch Friends, they might watch something like, well, you can't say that. Well, that's wrong. And so, like, even now, like when I watch Only Fools and Horses, Only Fools and Horses is hilarious. Legendary.
Oh my god!
But then I watch certain things, and even I'm like, oh wait, did
Yeah.
they say that in the episode?
This is what I mean. But it's still funny, and we find it funny because at that time it was funny.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny because it's so wrong now as well. It's just like it gives you a window of what was going on.
I'll let you in on something. Yeah, a lot of squaddy humor was very wrong, but we had to find things funny because what we were exposed to, like, we were a bit desensitized. Let's get it right. But because we're surrounded by other squads, we thought we was all right. Like, we didn't realize that we were, being a soldier, and our humor was a bit sick, and we had to be. Like, if you're not able to laugh at sick stuff, you can't handle sick stuff. Like, how else are you supposed to process it? How else are you supposed to? Let's say, like, we'd make jokes out of like what would happen if our legs got blown off, just to not fear it so much. You know what I'm saying? Like it. We had to. Do you know what I mean?
No, it makes perfect sense. Like, you can't. It sounds crude, but you can't literally shoot someone in the head and then someone go to someone else. Hey, bruv, that was a bit sexist what you just said there. Bam. And I found it like kind of
right. So
did that thing.
yeah. So in like comparison to real life now has become pretty hardcore. Like, we're quite resilient. I don't like people saying that new generations are soft. I don't think we're soft. In actual fact, I think we're harder. I think we're tougher, like, mentally, because to live now in this current state, we've got a lot of shit going on. Watch our previous episodes, all the pedo rings, ruling elites, conspiracies, Illuminatis, all that sort of shit. Even celebrities, like beating up celebrities, and kids overly exposed to so much stuff. We've got so much stuff going on in the dome. We need to laugh about this, and humor is probably the most universal language that actually brings us all together. Do you know what I mean? I feel like we owe you a great amount, Darren, of gratitude, because without comedians getting on that stage and giving us that hour of just pure laughter, let it all out, let us rebuild our serotonin, dopamine, let us have those moments of love. You know what I mean? Because that's in that moment when everyone, regardless of walk of life or whatever, we're all laughing at the same thing. The collective consciousness is risen. Do you know what I mean? And that's the only thing that really gets us through these hard times is humor. You know what I'm saying? So, I just want to say, Darren, man, thank you so much for everything you do. Massive gratitude to you guys and your other comedian brothers and sisters. Like, keep doing what you're doing, guys. You guys.
No, I was taking the thanks on behalf of all of them. It's fine. It's
awesome stuff. Michael, Liz, have you got anything more you want to say to Darren?
Yeah. Well, I want to just say something about comedy in general. Going forward, I think everyone needs to remember that the intent in jokes, not necessarily the words in the jokes, the intent. Because there's so many times.
Sorry, guys, wait a minute.
See,
he's still making us laugh. He's not even speaking. He's just.
I've taken over the kitchen, and my wife wants to use the kettle. So I've taken over the kitchen. So
the one time I'm serious.
Michael hasn't spoke all show.
Sorry.
My cheeks actually hurt, Darren.
Yeah, same. You've got you've made us like, I love it. Thank you. Right, Michael, go on. Say what you got to say, because she needs to go to
my train. I'm done.
No.
Okay. Darren, would you like to leave the view, or Liz, have you got anything else to say?
I just want to say thank you for contributing to making people laugh. What an awesome job to have, and say to people, what's your job? I make people laugh. Like, that is just so cool. So, and I would definitely be coming to watch one of your shows. I can't wait.
I appreciate it.
Darren, thank you so much. I'm going to say thank you so much again. And but is there anything you want to say to the viewers? Like, what can we look forward to? What have you got coming up? And where can people find you? All that good stuff.
Sure, yeah. So I don't really have much on social media in the sense like skits or characters like that. But like I said, I've got my one-man show from 2019 called Essex Bwoy on YouTube for free. You can go see that. If you can't find it, just go to darrangriffiths.com. Darran spelled Darran. Parents are Jamaican, so they remix names for no reason, and that's where you can find me. And then also on there, you'll see like all my upcoming gigs and stuff. So yeah,
I love
hopefully
that.
this year you'll see me all over the place as well. Just hopefully on TV.
Yay!
Fingers crossed.
Love it. I love it. Darran, for me and the Elite Thinking Club and all of our viewers, we owe you a huge amount of gratitude. Thank you for doing what you do. Honestly, seriously. Guys, everything Darran just mentioned there, the links are in the description. If you haven't done so already, hit the like, hit the subscribe button and go and follow Darran as well. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button and show some support. If you've got anything you want to do, DM, send a message, email, all that good stuff. But for me and the team, Darran, thank you so much. Liz, Michael, thank you so much again for being on here. Everyone, everywhere, Elite Thinking Club, peace and love.
Thanks for having me.